the greatest show in the history of great fucking shows.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on.
Okay, here we are up in studio, 48th floor. I got my main man RTB.
Yo, yo, yo.
And coming live from the Beers with Brokeass studio today, we have an amazing individual with a captivating life story that really should be a book. Straight out of the Shim Sham tribe in Prince Rupert, today's guest has lived and triumphed through BC residential schools, a tour of duty with the U.S. Marine Corps, a very demoralizing stint with the still racist RCMP, as well as numerous family tragedies that would destroy anyone's will to live. Yet this warrior came out on top, beating the odds, grown up Indigenous, and we are beyond honored to have Mr. Gary Ryan in studio today. Tell us your story.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. First of all, I'd like to say it's an honor to be here in a traditional territory of the Musqueam and Squamish Nation.
Nice.
My name is Gary Michael Ryan. I was born December 31st, Prince Rupert, British Columbia.
Awesome. Yeah. I did a couple years in Prince Rupert too.
A beautiful city.
Absolutely.
I just tell people if they forget that, just remember Prince.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it really a nice city? I've never been there.
So beautiful, man.
Yeah, wow. Holy shit.
It rains a lot, like
lot of
crazy,
rain. It was
like tons of rain, but I loved it.
Highest in North America for rain.
Awesome.
Wow, I didn't think it could get any worse than here. We get a lot of rain. Somebody says that they get more rain. Oh, fuck. It's crazy. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Swearing. Shit.
Yeah, we'll keep that right down.
Yeah,
So tell us, Gary, what was your childhood like?
Well, it was. I came from a big family. I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters.
Yeah.
And my dad was a fisherman, and in the wintertime he'd be a faller. So he was out working all the time. He very absent dad, but growing up in a big family was an experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
What was your what were your earliest childhood memories like?
Oh, running, playing, having fun in a city. And then when I was 5 years old, everything changed.
Yeah.
We got sent to an Indian residential school in Alert Bay called St. Michael's Indian Residential School. And I was 5, and I could remember the day we left. It was a rainy day, and me and my brothers and sisters were on a float plane in Prince Rupert, and my mom was standing outside, and she was crying.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was happening, or I didn't know that I was going to not see her for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
It was a little more than a baby.
Absolutely.
And St. Michael's Indian Residential School. What a story that is.
Well, whoever came up with that as being a great idea should be like pretty much punched in the face for eternity. Let's rip them away from their culture and their families, and let's put them in these schools, and
That's it. Take the Indian out of the child.
Absolutely.
Now looking back, and I'm thinking, okay, you could take the boy out of the jungle, but you can't take the jungle out of the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shitty thing what they did.
That's heartbreaking.
So you just came home one day and your mom's there and that's it for 3 years?
For 3 years we were there. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No rhyme or reason, just like you got to go.
That's it. We were just sent away on a plane, and next thing you know, we're in Indian residential school.
Okay, so when you got there, like, obviously you're 5. I'll just tell you a quick, tiny little story. When I was 5, I was going into kindergarten, and the bus driver, when they picked us up, I was hanging onto the bar and he couldn't rip me off. My mom was allowed to stay with me in kindergarten for 1 week. Right? So it's such a contrast here. Here you are 5, get ripped away from your family, and you're gone for 3 years. Me, being a white kid, hanging on to just didn't want to go to elementary school, and then
mommy was there.
Mama, right, man?
Yeah.
My mom was allowed to sit in. She was the only one that was allowed, but the principal let her sit in for a week straight because I was such a mama's boy.
Listening to that story, it just brought back a memory. When I was going to kindergarten, I used to have to take a bus by myself in the city of Prince Rupert to go to the kindergarten.
Wow.
And one time I was walking on, and a bus driver said to me, you can't come on here, you need to have your parents with you. And there's this big white woman in front of me. I said, that's my mom. And he said, okay.
That's it. You're on.
Get on the bus.
Get on the bus.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, but getting back to St. Michael's,
Yeah.
I was, another memory that I have, I was there for about a year. So I would have been 6 at the time. And I was standing outside of the school, and it's a big 3-story red brick building. And there was nobody around. I was by myself, and I was standing there looking at the building. And I was trying to think how my mom and dad looked like. And for the life of me, I couldn't remember how mom and dad looked. And I was sitting there trying my hardest to remember how they looked, and I couldn't remember.
That's terrible.
Wow. So it was 3 years when you had to go to that school, right? 3 years roughly?
It felt like I was
A lifetime.
Yeah, a lifetime.
It felt like I was looking back. It felt like I was sentenced for a crime I didn't commit.
And then what? And then after 3 years, you're allowed to go back with your mom and dad?
After 3 years, we went back. We didn't move back to Prince Rupert. We moved into the Lower Mainland, Surrey.
Yeah.
We lived in Surrey for a bit, and then
Hey.
eventually we moved to Vancouver, and
Yeah.
I've been down here ever since.
Like, were they nice? Like, were any of them nice? Like the people in charge? Do you have any good memories that came out of that?
Oh yeah, yeah. We had a lot of fun, with the other students.
Yeah, 'cause-
we'd play war games and
cool.
British Bulldog, and
Yeah.
it really wasn't all that bad. But when I first went there, I was a natural-born vegetarian. And I couldn't stand the way meat smelt, the way it smelt when cooking, and I couldn't stand the way it tasted. My mom wouldn't be able to make me eat it. We had a cat at home, and the cat would always come by me because I'd give the cat the meat. But when I got to St. Michael's, they targeted me. And I'd have 2 staff members, female cooks, on each side of me, and they'd stand there until I swallowed the meat. And
That's
the other
abuse.
The other thing, exactly, and the other thing, that I was a natural born lefty, and they forced me to write right-handed.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, that was a Christian thing, so-called Christian.
Fuck,
side of thing.
that's so weird because like my kid, he shoots left-handed at hockey, right? I think he's an abomination for that. Should be right-handed only. Just kidding. No, I'm just joking. No, but he shoots left-handed. It's weird because there's only 2 lefties in my family, right? He's like, what? And this is like probably about a year ago. He's like, what hand do I shoot? And I was like, I don't know. I can't tell you to shoot right. It's whatever feels comfortable. So he took a shot right-handed, and he looked really uncoordinated. And then I gave him a left-handed stick.
Wow.
But I would never try to change him to right-handed. You know what I mean?
That's why
It's so fucking stupid.
I have big problems with the church. Like, if anybody knows me, it seems like they were allowed to run amok for thousands of years, and no one's held them accountable. Like,
True. Are you? I don't mean to interrupt, but are you a man of God? Like, do you believe in God?
I do believe in God. I believe in karma and spirituality.
Yeah.
I believe what goes around comes around, and if you do good, then good comes back to you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I believe
But
that too.
the church, like Marko was saying, it's too tainted throughout history.
tainted's a perfect word actually for that.
To to kill and conquer in the name of God, you know, it's kill them all and let God sort them out. You know, that's too many injustices.
Absolutely.
So like I just want to go back. So after the 3 years that's it, the residential school was done with you, and they're just like, okay, you get to go back to your mom, because now they had changed you right-handed and they'd put their beliefs in you and took the culture out of you, and then it was just like, okay, you're ready to go back to your parents now, or
that was it. I had no understanding of it at the time. After 3 years they let us go, and
so you had brothers and sisters that were in there as well.
They were.
Wow.
And St. Michael's was 3 stories. They had the junior boys on the first floor, and the intermediate, and then the seniors.
Yeah.
And I had brothers on the senior, sisters on the intermediate, and I was in the junior section. And they also separated it from the bedwetters were on one side, and then the people who didn't wet the bed were on the other side. I wasn't a bedwetter, but my brother was.
Aww.
And he was put on the wet side.
yeah.
That's brutal.
That's fucking.
Well, first off, they're scared, right? Like any kid, like would be, like you must have been terrified.
Oh,
Like
they made us feel dirty, and I could remember dirty Indian. You're in dirty Indians all the time, and I came
Really?
out of there with a very low self-esteem, thinking I was nothing but a dirty Indian.
that's bullshit, man.
yeah.
Losers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
like whoever came up with that idea should just be shot.
Yep.
It's one of those things that people will never stop, the people will never stop paying for that mistake, which is good. Like, fuck them. Like, man, I
Yeah.
couldn't even imagine.
We'll try to keep the language down, but
Yeah.
Taking a culture away. Like, Mom and Dad never taught us how to speak our native language, even though they knew it fluently. They both talked about it, and they figured that we'd be better off not knowing our native language, so
Wow.
they never taught us. So English is my one and only language.
that's crazy.
Wow. So, have you ever thought of going back and learning it?
Yeah, well, for that I'd have to move back home up north. I think my mom's from Hazelton. We have a huge extended family up there, and they speak it, and they do all the cultural things. And
Wow.
at the moment, I'm kind of a city boy.
Yeah, for sure. Did you witness any abuse or any crazy things that kind of?
Yeah, that's
And if you don't want to touch on that, like we absolutely don't have to touch on any of that.
my older brother ran away from the school. I was 5. He would have been 13. He ran away, and he was gone for 2 or 3 days, and the RCMP found him, and they brought him back to school. And when they brought him back, they shaved his head, and they put him in a closet for a week.
Scumbags.
Solitary confinement.
Crazy.
But there's all kinds of other horrible things that happen,
Yeah.
with sexual abuse. I was lucky. I was never sexually abused, but,
Many were.
many were.
Yeah. I know. I know a few people that were sexually abused and all that other shit from the residential schools.
It's a very sad story because it's intergenerational. You hurt people that are hurt people. Hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
So and it goes down from generation to generation, and
Absolutely.
that's where a lot of the abuse comes from, because we didn't learn incest and
Yeah.
all that ugly stuff. It just happened. It's
Yeah. So let's. So you're now out. Your parents moved you to the good old city of Surrey, right? Hey, Surrey. So now, what was it like growing up in Surrey as?
Well, were you Surrey or East Van?
We started out in Surrey, but we're here for about a year.
Yeah.
And then East Van. And then
Nice.
from then on, it is grown up all over East Vancouver.
Cool.
Your parents took you out of the frying pan, put you right in the fire, eh?
Yeah, back then the East Van was the bomb, right?
Yeah.
That was the rough area. Surrey, a bunch of pussies out here.
Yeah. The Wally Burnouts.
Well, Clark Parkers.
Yeah, the Clark Parkers. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, back in the day.
Was that really a gang? Was that a gang's name?
It was
down
a gang in Clark Park.
Clark Park.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what was it like growing up in East Van then? You get in a lot of trouble?
I didn't. My brothers did.
Yeah.
They were always a rough bunch, and I was always a quiet, stay-at-home kind of guy.
Yeah.
Always.
Nice.
So.
Yeah. And then, so you said that, it said there that you were a part of the Marine Corps.
That's right.
How'd that come about? Or
Well,
how'd that come about?
It first started when I was in grade 12 in 1979. I lost my first brother, and he was shot in the head with a .357 Magnum. And the bullet went through the back of his left side of his skull and out the right. And my brother was right-handed. And Vancouver police at the time did a shoddy investigation at best.
They're so lazy.
They didn't investigate it. They wrote it off as a suicide. Yet they had witnesses said that there was a scuffle, and they even named the guy. They wrote it off as a suicide. And I was 17. My brother was 25, and he was young, tough, good looking, and smart.
Yeah.
He wasn't suicidal.
Yeah.
You know, he was just starting out. He was just starting out in life. And I got a copy of the coroner's report, and anyone reading that report would figure out easily that it was not a suicide.
Yeah.
And it was written off as one. And I've obtained copies of the so-called investigation. They did little or nothing. No neighborhood inquiries, nothing. It was just written off.
Wow.
So I was 17 at the time, and in grade 12, I dropped out of school. I was so depressed.
Yeah.
And I went logging because my dad was a logger and my brothers were loggers, and I figured that that's the way I had to do it, prove myself. So that's what I did for 3 years, and I went logging. And the loggers would say, once you get your second pair of cork boots, you're once a logger, always a logger. But the way I was going, I could see myself that I was on a one-way road to Skid Row.
Yeah.
Because I'd go out to camp, I'd go out, work hard, make a ton of money, I'd come back and blow it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. You know, there's girls and booze, and I could see, I had the foresight to see that I'm on a one-way road to Skid Row, and I wanted to change it. I needed to change it. So the military was my best option. It was a steady paycheck, and I was going to join the Canadian military, but my late brother said, if you're going to do anything, go stateside.
Nice.
And I listened to him, and that was the best thing I ever did.
That's crazy, man.
The best thing I ever did.
What was the training like?
Oh, it was brutal.
Was it?
It was very brutal. Not only that, I did 2 boot camps in a row. I first went into the U.S. Army, the reserves, because I dropped out of school in grade 12. I didn't have my grade 12. So they said, you come in, and come in as a reservist, and then you could update to active duty, but you needed your grade 12. So I didn't have my grade 12 at the time. So I went to Fort Benning, Georgia for 3 months. I did basic training there, came out, went to 1 reserve meeting in Bellingham, but I wasn't having that steady paycheck coming in. So I said, I need a steady paycheck. So I went back down there, and I walked into Marine Corps boot camp, recruiting station, and they said, we'll take you. All you need is your grade 10.
Perfect.
So he goes, but you got to go through Marine Corps boot camp. You can't be a Marine unless you go through a Marine Corps boot camp.
Nice.
And so I did. So I did 2 2 boot camps back to back.
Jesus.
And when I came out of Marine Corps boot camp, I was in the best shape of my life.
I bet you
know,
would be anybody. Yeah.
It's like they say jump, you say how high on your way up.
So did you
You're a
encounter any
machine.
any racism in the Marines?
I never did, but it opened my eyes to racism. There's a lot of black people stateside, a lot of black people in the military. They bore the brunt of it.
Wow.
They bore the brunt of it, and I witnessed it.
Yeah.
You know, the Mexicans were next,
Yeah.
right? They bore the brunt of it as well. And I was lucky that I chose the Marines because Native people have a long history with the Corps.
They do,
and,
yeah.
and they thought fondly of Native people. You know,
Warriors.
I mean, natural-born killers. You know, that's and with the whole code talkers and going back in the Second World War and everything.
Yeah,
so
they had their own language and stuff,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And my nickname in my company was Chief. Even a company commander called me Chief.
Nice.
Because everybody had nicknames.
Yeah.
You know, and mine was Chief. But they didn't say it derogatory.
Yeah.
They said it fondly.
Nice.
So the racism that I didn't experience they liked me. They really did.
Honestly, man, I like you. You're a
Thank you. I
likable
like
guy,
you
man.
too. And but yeah, no, that opened my eyes to racism, and of course I've experienced a lot of that throughout my endeavors. But yeah.
Wow. And so did you do any actual go overseas and?
I never did go overseas. I never seen combat. When I was in the Beirut embassy was bombed, and of course, being young and full of pee and vinegar, I wanted to go. All wanted to go and kick ass and take names, but that never happened. And I'm glad to this day that I never seen combat.
Yeah.
It would be a heavy burden on me to actually have to take someone's life.
For sure.
But back then, when I was young,
Line
I
'em
wanted
up.
to,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I was fortunate never to see combat.
Wow. And did you retire from the Marine Corps?
I signed up for 3 years,
And then you came back.
and then I came back, and
What did you do when you came back?
I went into the RCMP.
Wow.
And the thing about the RCMP is, I could remember ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to be a policeman when I grew up.
Nice.
I wanted to be a policeman, not to be mean to people or beat them up or anything.
To help people.
I wanted to be in a position to help people and put bad guys away. And that's what I always wanted to do, and I made it happen.
That's
Nice.
crazy.
So what was the training like for the RCMP? Like you came up as a Marine,
Yeah.
right? Did it help you get into the RCMP quicker or faster or less paperwork?
I had to go through all the regular loopholes that you got to jump through.
channels, yeah.
I when I was in the Marine Corps, I got my grade 12, so I had that diploma behind me, and you need a minimum grade 12 at the time to be in the RCMP. So I met all the requirements, but what the Marine Corps did to me, as I was a peace officer, it helped me on the street, because you're an urban combat set type
Yeah.
of thing. You're not in war, but you're like in an urban combat type of thing.
Yeah.
So, I could remember I went in as a native special, and Bella Bella I did 2 years in Bella Bella with the Bella Bella RCMP, and I was 4-man detachment, so I was 25% of the force, and they treated me good up there.
Nice.
They treated me good, because one of the biggest blessings that I have is a whole lot of common sense.
Yeah.
And common sense goes a long way.
It does.
It does, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
You know. So
Yeah, there's a lot of dummies out there, that's for sure. Yeah.
I remember going to my first suicide in Bella Bella, and we had to take a plane to a remote area, and where this guy shot himself. And I remember being on a plane thinking, how am I going to react? Am I going to get sick? Am I going to cry? I didn't know what my reaction was.
Yeah.
But all I could think about when I got there was my Marine Corps training. And I was zipping this guy up in a body bag, and I was thinking what the Marines said. You ain't no good to anybody in a body bag.
Yeah.
You're no good to nobody. And not only that, this guy was an a-hole for taking his own life and taking the easy way out.
Yeah.
I still think that way. Yeah.
That's exactly what I think. But also something that I'm thinking about is I've been to several suicides, and there's something about brain matter that has a sick, sweet smell to it. You smell it once, you never forget it.
Oh, I can contest to that.
Yeah.
You just never forget it.
No, it's true.
You know,
the whole texture part of it, it's in your hands. I can contest to that. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, he had
Yeah.
in our first podcast, he had somebody die at his work, and the brains blew up on him, and
Yeah.
it was splashed all over rocks.
Yeah, it's like this out of my eye sockets.
And the
Yeah, you
smell.
the smell. Yep, you'll never
the,
forget
the smell. Yeah.
Yep.
And my second suicide was an 18-year-old native guy. I got there within minutes after him doing it, like 3 minutes type of thing. And when I went in the room, there's nothing left of his head from his neck on up.
Jesus.
It was all over the roof, all over the walls, and his chest was heaving up and down. And it was like I wanted to do CPR on him, but there's nothing to do CPR on. He had no head left.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know it's weird how the body does that, eh? Like, I actually had those questions as well. I was like, how the fuck is that even possible? You know, like, the body's like still trying to like work.
Doing
like-
a chicken.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
chicken with the head cut off, still running around. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Did you ever get any counseling or anything for the PTSD
Suicides, yeah.
or PTSD?
I didn't think I needed it.
Yeah,
You know,
because back then
I-
we're talking what, that was like the 90s.
it was 86,
Yeah,
back in 1986, 87. You know, I remember it like it was yesterday, but it doesn't personally bother me. You know, I don't feel like I'm traumatized by it.
Yeah.
But it's just some things you just don't forget,
for sure.
right?
It affects everybody differently.
No, that too. Yeah, it does for sure.
Wow.
So,
any-
go ahead.
Any funny, like any, so RCMP, like how did, after that, what did you come back here and were in the RCMP, or did you transfer? Or?
I did 2 years in Bella Bella.
Yeah.
And then I did a year in Coquitlam RCMP detachment. I was the first native ever to hit Coquitlam RCMP.
Wow.
And that's where everything hit the fan for me. You know, it was, I got more respect from the bad guys than I did with my co-workers. It was such a bad experience. You know, I was on D-Watch, and we'd have a rotation. We'd work 2 days on, 2 days off, and then the next watch, and so forth and whatnot. I'd be in shift change, and I'd hear comments from policemen say, "Oh, the effing Indians, we should have killed them all when we had the chance."
Wow.
They'd be saying stuff like that when I'm in a room.
Total losers.
Yeah, making sure you're within earshot, right?
Within earshot. Yeah, most definitely.
Cowards.
And when we're in Coquitlam, we work one-man patrol cars. I was a new guy on the block, and they'd call each other for coffee breaks, lunch breaks, and I'd never get called. I was by myself.
That's bullshit, man.
And these are the guys that I had to count on for backup.
Scumbags.
You know, so I did it for a year, and I got to the point where I'd wake up in the morning
And not want to do what you
and
want
not
to do.
not want to go to work.
Yeah, that's when you're done, right?
That's
Not-
bullshit.
Not when I go to work. So I pulled a pin. I said, you know, I have to suck, and that's it.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
bullshit. So they basically fucking chased you out.
it's a sad story, you know.
Yeah.
It's,
Did they give you an exit interview, like saying, "Hey, why are you leaving?" Like, did you tell people like these racist fucking pigs? Or
They did, and there's a lot of them that that didn't want me to leave. They didn't want me to leave because I'm an ex-Marine or
Yeah.
a Marine.
Yeah.
Once a Marine, always a Marine. I grew up in East Van,
Yeah.
and like I said earlier, I was blessed with a whole lot of common sense.
Yeah.
So they didn't want me to go,
Yeah.
but I just couldn't put up with it anymore.
Well, yeah, that's
it would eventually wear you down.
absolutely, like, that's what they did to you it's complete bullshit. And
I agree.
It doesn't surprise me though. Like, you look at what's happening now, right? Like, they're still racist. They're a bunch of sexual harassers, right? Like, if you look down the line, the only way that gets fixed is you top to bottom, you got to dismantle it. You got to go, thank you for your service to these guys that are like 60, 70, and 80. You guys are get the fuck out, and we're going to change it up now, right? Like, that's the only, it was like a boys club where they were allowed to do whatever they
It's
want.
a glorified boys club. for
Absolutely.
Sure.
A glorified boys club.
Yeah.
They I know a lot of them feel that because they have a gun and a badge that they're somehow above the law.
Yeah.
And there's a saying amongst peace officers that they'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6.
Yeah.
You know, trigger happy.
Absolutely.
They're trigger happy.
Absolutely. When you just let's backtrack a little bit. When you came to Coquitlam, and like, how did the interview process go?
Well, they teamed me up with a guy, which is called field recruit training, because I had to go back to Regina to move from a special constable to a full-fledged constable.
Yeah.
And so I went back to Regina for 6 weeks, and then I had to complete a recruit field training. So they teamed me up with another peace officer who's, around the block, and then after 6 weeks, I was by myself.
Wow.
Have you ever seen any of these racist cops since then? Like, you ever walking down the street and say, "Hey, fuck"?
No, I've never bumped into them, but neither have I ever had the experience of coming across a racist, hateful group of individuals as I did with the RCMP.
Yeah.
Do you obviously remember their names? You want to put them on blast? They've probably been racist to a whole bunch of other people.
Absolutely.
Let's call a spade here. If they're that racist, like, what they've never got better.
Oh yeah.
What, they go to sensitivity training, and I bet you they didn't. Let's put them on blast.
Bunch of dickheads.
That reminds me of another situation that I was in when I was going back and forth to the border for the Marines.
Yeah.
I was there used to be a sub shop on Main and Hastings run by a Chinese guy, and he'd, have subs. People would go in there for subs, and I was with my cousin, my brother, and they hung out downtown East Side. I didn't, but I can't remember what I was down there at the time for, but I was going back and forth across the border, and my cousin Ronnie goes, "Oh, these cops are bad. These cops are bad." And they look at Ronnie and my brother, they go, "Get out." And then they look at me and they say, "You get out too." And I said, "Why?" I said, "This is a public place. I'm not drunk. I'm not causing a disturbance." They said, "Okay, let's see some ID then." And I had my passport in my back wallet.
Nice.
And I pulled out my passport, and he looks at it and he goes, "Oh, you're a Canadian citizen." He goes, "That's surprising." And I said, "Why is it so surprising from an immigrant like yourself?"
Nice.
And he dropped the passport, and he wound up, and I seen it coming, and I rolled with a punch. He punched me on the side of my temple, and then he grabbed me by my collar, and as he was doing that, his partner was unclipping his holster. And then he slammed me against the wall, and he said, "I don't take shit from Indians."
Wow.
And if I knew now what I didn't know then, I would have had his job.
Yeah. What a dickhead.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Fuck, man.
Yeah, I think, I really think that top to bottom, like, I understand why Doug McCallum wants to get his own police force going.
Yeah, but half those people, most of those people are going to switch over anyways.
I know,
You're
but
not, you're not getting rid of the racism.
No, but you
or
can
the fucking
you can
sexual assaults.
You can at least vet. You can vet it.
Yeah, you can make the vetting process out a little.
You know what I mean? So you have a little bit of control, and you can go. These guys are. We don't want these old school cats anymore. We want these guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know you're pro cop, but like, if you break it down, like, listening to what they did to him is fucking complete bullshit, man. Guy tries to better his life. He tries to get into something to help people, something that he loves, and have a great career in the RCMP, and they fucking chase him out.
You know, like, you want to know, like, but you want to know why I'm pro cop? Like, I am, because I believe we need that, right? Like,
Of course we do.
We do.
Mm-hmm. We
right?
do.
We need it. Like, if you need the police, they're gonna be there. But I'm also pro police because I don't let the police like fucking run my life. If I see them doing something wrong, I'm gonna voice my opinion. And if they keep doing it wrong and assaulting somebody, they're gonna get something thrown at them.
For sure.
Right? Because everybody has cameras nowadays. You want to know something? Like, if I throw, like, if I see a cop beating the shit out of some innocent person and just laying the boots to him or whatever, I'm going to whip a rock at his head. And if I hit him, I'm going to look like a fucking hero, first of all. I'm never going to stop.
The thing is that they know through their training that they're only allowed to use as much force as necessary.
Yeah.
But so many of them go beyond that.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the thing,
Beyond
right?
it.
And then you're absolutely right. And I think that's when the policing part should go back to the bystanders, not just with your phone, but, throw a Slurpee at him or something. Take his attention away. Like we would do that.
Absolutely.
For sure. So I don't let the police, like, bully me in a sense.
Yeah, because that's what they did. They bullied you right out of your career.
They did. They did. Now, I was just thinking after I left the RCMP and moved to Vancouver, got a job in a city, I had a bumper sticker on my car and it said Custer had it coming. And I've never been pulled over so many times in my entire life when I had that bumper sticker on my car.
Wow.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Wow.
So now did you, that one just sucked, like,
That sucks.
getting like bullied out of your job because of racism and all this fucking other bullshit. But did you ever like want to go back to like Bella where they treated you with like some sort of respect? Like, could you have transferred out of there?
I could have transferred out of there. In hindsight, being 2020, what I probably should have done was maybe went to a mid-sized detachment, say in Vancouver Island, Campbell River, or something like that, instead of the big city down here.
Yeah.
And having been the first Native ever to hit Coquitlam detachment.
That's crazy.
But the very sad thing about the whole RCMP experience was I was good at my job.
Yeah.
I was I never abused my authority, and it was what I wanted to do ever since I was a boy. And yeah, no, I was pushed out of it.
That's crazy.
Sucked the life right out of you.
That's crazy to me. Would you ever consider, say, like Doug McCallum comes across this story? Would you ever consider signing up for the new SURREY RCMP? Because honestly, to tell you the truth, man, that would be pretty cool. If you want to like try to make amends, that'd be cool, man.
They should give you your job back.
You be a cop for 2 years, SURREY RCMP, and then you can retire, with your head
funny.
up in the air.
Yeah, no.
Is that something you would consider?
I'm too old school and too computer illiterate for that sort of thing now.
You'd be doing everything handwritten notes.
They can teach you that, though, man.
But what I did want to say about SURREY,
Yeah.
like you brought it up, and when I was in the RCMP back in 87, 86 to 89,
Yeah.
they were talking about SURREY back then moving over to a municipal police force. It's been an ongoing topic for a very long time.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm still up in the air, like, you know, like whether Surrey should get their own police department or not. I mean, like, I'm still on the fence. Like, you know, the Abbotsford cops are pretty cool. I mean, you know, but I don't mind. Like, I've honestly no problem ever chit chatting with cops. Like, remember the burnout? I was like, hey, boys, you want to see some? I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. The guy's like, that piece of shit can't do a burnout. And I was like, whop, whop, whop. And they were just howling, man.
Vancouver police. It was
Vancouver
pretty funny.
police. They were just howling.
And
just,
he
like,
just did a
pulled up.
smoke show.
Yeah, just
It was
pulled
pretty
up. I was like,
funny.
you guys want to see some? Whoa, boom. And they're just like, that piece of shit can't do a burnout. I was fucking let it rip, man. And they were just laughing, right? Some cops are cool, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's RCMP, and then the Friends version is a GRC, and it's a government racing car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I just...
That
fuck.
sucks though, man. Like when I hear that though, like, you know, it's beyond annoying. It's kind of like, it's, here you are, you're trying to better your life. You know, you're in, like, you know, and let's call a spade a spade. RCMP it's a good job. You know what I mean? And then they kind of, you know, well, not kind of, then they're a bunch of dickheads. Bunch of racist dickheads in there, and then they push you out, and then you became a bus driver.
That's right, but you know, the RCMP, they're saying is maintain le droit, which means maintain the right, and what they did to me was not right.
Absolutely. You're like, in my opinion, man, like, you should look into like an apology and maybe even some compensation. I'd get a lawyer.
Like, but yeah, for sure. You want something, you probably can. That's well within your rights to get a lawyer and sue the shit out of them. But here, like, yeah, because the RCMP, they probably would right now, like, apologize to you and be like, oh yeah, we're sorry, you know, like, we don't run our police department like that anymore, but it's still there. Fuck them.
Yeah.
There should be some accountability.
Absolutely.
I agree. There should be.
There should be.
Absolutely.
You know, and I haven't looked into it or pursued it, but yeah, no, that's
Because honestly, no human being should be treated like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's 2020 now, right? Like, you know what I mean? So with everybody that, like, you know, you could see apologies for saying, you know,
Kamagata Maru and
or,
shit like
or
that.
not
happened
even,
way
let's not
before
even
our
go
time.
with the racist stuff. Let's just go, even if we go into, like, you know, like transgender, or you say retard, like, there's all these corrections on so many things. Well, let's correct something that should have been corrected 25 years ago, because what they did to you is complete bullshit.
I agree.
Would you accept their apology if they gave you one?
I would.
Yeah?
I would. Most definitely. Because from my understanding, I talk to police officers now, that RCMP officers, and they say things have changed now.
Good.
So, like, have you been pulled over by the police?
When I had my Custer had a comment sticker.
Yeah, no. I mean, but were
Like
you a cop?
recently?
No, like, were you a cop? Like,
Yes.
you were already
Yes.
quit the force at that point.
Yeah.
So then they pulled you over. Does it come up saying used to be a cop? Like, what do you think?
Yes,
comes up?
it does.
So did
and
it give
not
you-
only that, I was pulled over while I still had the badge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One time I was going to Mexico with my brother, and we were running late, so he was speeding, and he was coming through around the bend in Richmond, and there was a radar. So he was driving, and he was having a conniption fit because he had a warrant out for his arrest. And he gets pulled over, and I flashed my badge. I said, look, pal, we're running late. We're going to Mexico, and my brother's just speeding a little bit for me. He goes, oh, yeah, where are you going? I said, we're going to Puerto Vallarta. He goes, okay, well, have a nice time in Puerto Vallarta, man.
Oh,
Have a
see,
good time."
being part of the Boys Club
He didn't even check my brother.
pays off.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, flash the badge, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Some of the perks.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, so this day it still comes up. So they don't really, like, once they pull you over, run your license, do you get tickets, or, you know, or are they just like, hey, see you later, be on your merry way? Like, I don't know.
You know, one time I got pulled over and I had parking tickets, and the Vancouver police officer, he placed me under arrest for parking tickets.
Wow.
And I said, wait a minute. I said, you don't have to do this. You could release me on a promise to appear. I know that for a fact. And he still arrested and put me into custody.
Wow.
Yet he had the authority to release me on a promise to appear on the spot. I could have sued the city.
Yeah, for sure.
I could have. That's unlawful detention, and that's what he did. The worst part about that is I was with my pretty girlfriend at the time, and I had to let her go for the night.
Thanks, cop.
Oh man.
But yeah, but I'm a law-abiding citizen, so I generally don't get pulled over.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you still be arrested for parking tickets
Not
downtown?
anymore.
Thank
that
God.
one time the city of Vancouver was doing that as their policy.
Wow.
But that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
Jesus,
They've
thank
been
God.
challenged
We
too
would
many
do
times.
20 years.
I'm pretty sure that I have a couple parking tickets working with this fucking guy, man. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to be arrested.
Yeah, no. So yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so now like once you left there, you
Bus driver.
You just
How
went to
was that?
That was a lot of fun. And I did 30 years with Coast Mountain Bus Company.
Nice. Represent, man. So
Yeah.
you're retired with them then.
Retired. I walked away with a full unreduced pension.
Cool.
So,
When you say unreduced, like what, people get reduced pensions or?
well, yeah.
If you
it's
wanna
all-
retire
it's all
early.
numbers. It depends on your years of service and your age, and the magic number is 85. So I did 30 years. I was able to walk away with an unreduced pension because, say, for example, if you go into transit when you're 40 years old and you only got 25 years when you retire,
Yeah.
well, you don't get a full pension. But
Yeah.
you get a pension,
Yeah.
but just not full.
Not
So-
topped up.
Yeah. So the magic number with transit is 85. So I was able to walk away with an unreduced pension.
So that's really cool. Like, so how old are you anyways?
59.
Because you don't look
Wow.
59, man.
No, you
Thank
don't.
you.
I was like, fuck, would you retire at 40?
We got a tank
Yeah,
here.
you don't-
Well,
you
not
look
only
59.
that, I still have to work. There's no Freedom 55 for me. If I didn't have a mortgage, I wouldn't be working.
So do you still drive the bus then?
No,
Like,
no.
Retired
no,
and drive the bus?
Retired September 2019.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just go back a little bit. Was there any type of say maybe even a settlement from the residential school, or was there any kind of like, we're sorry for what we did, or like how does that even work?
With the whole reconciliation process, it does. There was and there is, and it's still ongoing. And
Yeah.
I was listening to a native speaker, and he was asked, how do you feel about the reconciliation process? He goes, well, it's like this. If you're walking and someone stabs you in the back, and then they pull the knife out and they say, I'm sorry, how does that feel?
For sure.
Yeah, you're still left there bleeding
Right.
and in pain. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I get it, yeah.
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 Because that, obviously, it triggers a lot of emotions and
It does. It's something that nobody should go through.
absolutely.
Really,
Absolutely.
it just wasn't right.
I totally agree, and like we have, like, I got a friend here, one of my best friends, and like he experienced it on the other side. So like for anybody that basically says, oh, they should just suck it up, it wasn't that bad, like they're dickheads, right? I have like my best friend here, he actually was on the opposite side of it.
Yeah, I was the only white kid at an all-native school on the reservation.
Is that right? Which one?
In Port Alberni. Fuck, I can't even remember the name now because I blocked it out of my mind. Just right past the Orange Bridge.
Is that right?
the left, yeah.
Because they had an Indian residential school in Port Alberni as well,
Yeah.
which is notorious for all the abuses and injustices that
For
happen
sure.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of my cousins and stuff, they, like I said, like they're devastated, like they're broken. even to this day, like it's so sad. But yeah, I was on the other side of that, running to the bus with my stepbrother Eagle and fucking having to fight every day and to get on that fucking bus, man, before we got beat. But he didn't give a shit, man. He would just like, yeah, let's fight. Come on, why are you running? You chicken shit. And he's younger than me, right? He's I'm 8, he's 6, and he wants to fight the whole school, man. He's just a maniac.
That's funny. So you grew up on the res, so you have a good understanding of Native people, and
absolutely.
I had 3 white friends, and I call them my polar bears because they were big and white, and all 3 of them grew up around Native people. And that's why we had the connection, is that they have an intuitive understanding of me already.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But most white people look at me and they say, big Indian, type sort of thing.
It's true, yeah.
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 Like, yeah, like even my, like my stepbrother Eagle, he was like stereotyped as a big dumb Indian in a sense, right? But man, sometimes he was one bad decision after another, man. Like when he worked with us and he's like, hey, can you send me money? I'm up in Squamish. And I was like, how'd you get up to Squamish? He's like, I can't remember. He was insane.
He was
man.
so funny, man.
He was so funny,
him.
yeah.
I honestly,
yeah, he was funny.
I was so mad at him one time because he was gonna come work with us. We were gonna do some pressure washing, and we show up at like I think it was like 11 or 2 in the morning to get him.
Yeah,
and
at nighttime.
He is passed out. I looked through the window. He's passed out. The whole unit is destroyed. Counters busted in half, table snapped, TV shattered, everything. So I'm like crying. I go to Rob. I go, you gotta go get your brother. He goes, why? I go, I could. He walks up, he knocks on he walks in. Eagle's like, hey, I'm ready to work, and he's so drunk. But I was like, okay, come with us, man. But the whole house was like destroyed. I was like, what the hell happened? I got into a little bit of a fight and I busted the whole house.
He got no fight with his TV.
Yeah. Oh, he was so funny, man.
He was awesome.
And but
yeah,
just dealing with suicide too, right?
Yeah. He ended up killing himself.
Oh,
and I thought the same way, like how dare you, right?
Yeah.
He left behind his wicked kid, like Jason, right?
Yeah.
That's sad.
It's sad. It's tragic, right? But like I say, you're going through trauma when you're young. Hey, man, like trauma is trauma. It doesn't matter if you're old, you're young. Once it hits you, it hits you. Like you got firefighters, killing themselves. Police officers killing themselves. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, and they're not cowards. It's just they can't take it anymore, and the PTSD, they can't deal with it. So I understand, like some people will say, oh, you should never do that. You're a coward and you're a pussy for killing yourself. But obviously, he went through trauma through his life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you throw addictions in there and drugs, and it's just we're starting to understand. In the last 30 years, we've never really understood the human brain until the last 30 years. Like, that's we realize what these things can actually do to somebody.
That's a tough one because it's all subjective, right?
For sure.
And then they go through all this pain and hurt, and they just can't deal with it. And
For sure.
Take the easy way out type of thing. That once you kill yourself, and then all your problems are gone.
For sure.
Yeah, but
like, what were some of your experiences in that school?
In that school?
Like, it was scary?
Yeah, it was absolutely scary.
Like, teachers nice to you?
Some.
Yeah.
Some teachers were nice. The bus driver was a little handsy, I have to say. That's no word of a lie. He was a handsy motherfucker, man.
Wow.
Yeah, and fucking Eagle didn't take that shit. I'm gonna tell my mom, and yeah. But you want to know what I do love though? I love the whole culture. Like,
absolutely.
I got to go to a house it, flying by, float or a plane and then take the boat, and like I got to do that for a whole summer, whereas most people didn't, right?
Nice.
Like the whole culture, I love it, right? And
I had a sister-in-law from a house.
oh yeah?
Yeah.
One thing I don't like though is wind-blown salmon. Oh, to this day, man, I put that in my mouth, like wind-blown salmon, and I'm just like, it just brings back so many haunting memories of the taste. Everything else I love.
Yeah.
Just wind-blown salmon, can't do it.
Realistically, it's one of the best cultures in the world.
It
Like,
is.
They
It
respected
is.
nature. They respected Earth. They loved Earth nature.
On the West Coast, pre-European contact, all Native people had to do was hunt and fish for 2 weeks, and they'd have enough for the entire year.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't. It wasn't for money. Wasn't for greed. Wasn't. It was for survival.
Yeah.
And in harmony with the nature. It wasn't about taking over and
Absolutely.
owning a piece of land. And
Like, if we're being realistic, like, just look out here. Like, look out the window. We destroyed this place. 100%.
it's a concrete jungle.
Yep.
It is. When you're talking about the bus driver, I had a flashback of growing up in East Vancouver. I was 11 years old, and Kitchener and Commercial at the bus stop there waiting for the bus. And our mom always taught us to be polite, so I always say please and thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I get on a bus, I'm by myself, and I put my money in the fare box, and I go, transfer please. And the bus driver rips off a transfer, gives it to me. I sit down and I look at it, and it's expired. So I go back up and I said, excuse me, sir, this transfer that you just gave me right now is expired. And he looked at me and he goes, oh, you're one of the smarter ones, aren't you?
Motherfucker.
I knew exactly what he meant then and there.
What a
I just
dickhead.
knew exactly what he meant. And with my 30 years of transit, not once have I had a racist experience with the general public, only with other bus drivers.
Dickheads.
In the mid-90s, when Oka was going on and Gustafson Lake, subsequent to that in BC, there's a white bus driver at Oak Ridge, 41st and Oak, back in the day, and he was in a chow hall, and I go walking by, and he goes, hey, and I stop and I look, he goes, you should be in Gustafson Lake so someone could put a bullet in you.
Wow.
And I said, you know what, you fat ever? I said, I'm a Marine, ex-RCMP. If I'm armed and dangerous, it's going to be a neat trick for someone to put a bullet in me.
That's awesome. Bust that clown up. What
And another
dickhead.
driver, is that Fraser Marine, there's terminus there. And he comes up to me, he goes, you're Native, aren't you? I go, yeah, I am. He goes, how do you feel when these drunk Indians come on your bus and they're all drunk and they don't have money for bus fare? Do you give them favors because you're a bro? And I said, I don't know, how do you feel when white trash jumps in your bus and they're all drunk and don't have money for bus fare? Do you give them favors because you're a bro? And he said, you got a point there.
Nice.
Say, just shut him down.
You got to keep it real, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's just like it amazes me how like people can just you can interact and you have these altercations and these interactions with people, but at the end of the day it's all bullshit. Like fuck, we're all human, man. Like
It's true, but
like
yeah,
like
some
I don't blame like I would not blame you, Gary, if you were like I don't really like fucking white people. Like, because honestly, like, I'm white, and if I saw people treating you how you've been treated throughout your life, I don't like those guys. I'm actually embarrassed to be a Canadian sitting here right now for the way that you were treated through fucking top to bottom RCMP.
You're white? I thought you were Chinese. I thought you were Chinese.
You know
But
what?
that's embarrassing to me.
It is.
I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Is that I was blessed with a whole lot of common sense. And with everything going on with the pandemic, with the George Floyd murder,
Yeah.
and other subsequent murders in the last few days,
Yeah.
stateside, right? All the things that are going on, but with the Black Lives Matter protests and
Yeah.
opening up, it's opening up, and it's opening up a whole lot
Wounds.
of controversy of what's going on. And I, with my common sense, I see that we're all human beings.
Yeah.
And that we're all connected.
For sure.
Your blood is as red as mine.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that the key to moving forward is with education, is with teachers teaching the kids, acknowledging, yes, there are different races, but we're all human beings.
For
and
sure.
we're all connected.
For sure.
That's how I'd like to end this. That's with that.
Yeah, like I totally agree with you. And you want to know something? Like if I ever encountered a racist like person, calling someone a bad words or whatever, I'd just be like, we all cry in the same language, right? We all cry in the same language, and that's it, man.
For sure.
We all bleed. If you cut someone, they bleed. We all bleed the same blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was downtown. I was doing a graffiti removal. As I'm walking downtown, or right on Granville, there was a guy that was. I just saw him on the news like 2 months ago or a month ago. He got charged with spray painting racist stuff in Chinatown. So I walked by this guy, and he's with a couple crackheads. They're like degenerates or whatever. He calls this guy like 90 years old a dirty chink. And I look at him, I'm choked, man. I'm thinking like, oh, I wish I was with like one other tough guy, because I would knock all of them out, 9 of them. And then I walk by and I go, I can't not say something. So I go, you're the fucking, you're the real tough guy. Like, this guy's in his 90s and you're gonna call him that? I go, you're a piece of shit, bro. The guy's like, oh, what did you say? What did you say? He goes, you don't know what we can do. And then he came and they followed me for like 2 blocks. And then he kept putting his hand in his bag. And he's like, you want to do this? You want to do this? And the one guy's like, oh, no, you better not do this. This guy, you don't know what he's done. And at that time, there was a bunch of stabbings that were going on in those parks. And he's like, the guy basically said, this guy's been stabbing people, this and that. And I go, you know what? You guys are a bunch of scumbags, man. You're going to say that to a 90-year-old guy? I don't give a fuck. And they came at me in the middle of the road, and there was a bus driver that actually honked right on Granville. And I needed one more guy there, and we would have knocked out all 8 of them.
There's 8.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
can't be
just a
everywhere all
crew.
the time, Marco.
But but when I saw him on the news, I'm like, that's the guy, and he's going to court, and you know what I mean? Like, see you later, buddy. Hope they give you 2 years, you prick.
Yeah.
Like, absolute douchebags, man.
Yeah.
You have any funny stories from driving the bus?
I seen a lot of what makes a job interesting with transit is the general public, and you can have a lot of fun with them. And I like people generally.
Yeah.
But one time I was doing the Hastings Express, and from Maine and Hastings to Kootenai Loop and vice versa, it's express. That's why it's called Hastings Express. And it was a Welfare Wednesday, and this big black woman comes on. She goes, "Do you go to the welfare office?" And I knew that there was a welfare office right across from Kootenai Loop. And I go, "Yes, ma'am, I do go to the welfare office." She goes, "Good, because I need to get to the welfare office." And I'm driving by, and we're about the 600 block on Hastings, and she goes, "That's it. That's my welfare office right there." I said, "I can't stop and let you out, ma'am. I can't. We're in an express wire. Even if I wanted to, if I pulled over, I'd lose my pulse." She goes, "I need to get there." I said, "Well, I could open the doors and you could jump out." And I visualized her bouncing down the street, and I started laughing. And then she goes, "This is funny." She goes, "Here, I thought I was in for a boring bus ride, but you're making it actually pretty interesting." And another time, I was at Boundary Loop.
That's awesome.
And it just happened to be another black woman. And she goes, "Do you go to Main and Broadway's?" I go, "Yes, man, I go to Main and Broadway." She goes, "Good, because I needs to get to Main and Broadway's." I go, "No problem, I'll get you there." She goes, "Can you let me know? Let me know, please. I'm from the States." I go, "No problem, I'll let you know when we get to Main and Broadway." So one stop before Fraser Street, I look and she's walking out the back doors. I said, "Ma'am," I said, "this isn't Main Street." She goes, "I know, but there's a Kentucky Fried Chicken there."
That's awesome. She hasn't eaten. She's hungry. She's like, "Don't worry." That's awesome.
And another thing that comes to mind is one time I was driving down Broadway again in the summertime, and there's a pretty blonde girl, and the old trolleys, you had to activate the back doors by stepping on the lower bus one.
Yeah.
But we had a switch up there where you could shut it off. So I see her going out, and she is top heavy, and she is very pretty, and it was in the summertime, and she is a blonde. So I shut the back door thing off, and she's trying to get out.
So she's bouncing on
I said, "Honey, you gotta jump up and down on the stair." And she goes, "Jump?" I go, "Yeah, you gotta jump up." So she starts jumping on the stairs, and she's bouncing all over the place. And then I flick open the back doors, and she gets up, and there's a guy in the back seat laughing his head off. And then she walks by, and she has a big smile on her face. She knew exactly what I was.
That's awesome.
But
so
yeah,
it was fun.
It was fun. It was the only thing with Coast Mountain Bus Company is they micromanage you.
A little bit too much.
Way too much. When back in 2006, when they got the new trolleys with cameras and microphones on board, it really started going downhill. And to this day, they micromanage you. They have GPSs and everything.
Time slots. You're not up with the time.
It's a very, very toxic environment to work with, even though it's a good job.
But didn't they do the cameras and microphones for your safety? Wasn't that the whole deal?
That was a whole deal. And
Originally.
when they originally came in, they said we're not gonna use them against the drivers, but that's all they do. That's
really?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Wow.
Yeah. So I after 30 years, I don't miss it. Working for the company because of the toxic environment.
Yeah.
The Vancouver Transit Center, it's like a penitentiary. It's like an institution, and there's no morale. There's no esprit de corps. It
wasn't good.
I don't miss it at all.
Did you ever think of jumping once the transit cops came about? Did you ever think of jumping ship over there?
I did.
Can you see where this is going, Gary? We want you to become a cop for the last 2-3 years. Absolutely. But you know what? Let's just let's stop on this note. Let's just do a piss break here, or a bathroom break, and then let's just chill and come back. And we're gonna come back and we're gonna touch on this. But you can see where this is going. We want you to finish off as SURREY RCMP, or not RCMP, but SURREY cop. We want you to touch off on as a cop. That's awesome. Okay, here we are back from break, up in studio 48th floor. It's a beautiful day out here. I got my main man T-Bop.
Hey, what's up?
And I got I got a warrior here. I'm gonna call him a warrior. Exactly what he is. He's a tank. He's built like a machine. We got Gary Ryan.
Wait a sec, I resemble that remark.
Honestly, man, you are built like a machine.
Oh, I'm blessed.
Yep, good genetics.
Blessed. And it takes a lot of work and a lot of working out.
Yeah. You're not like us slobs over here. I got T-Bone's awfully quiet. He's like, oh,
no comment.
No comment. Swingleberry. That's awesome. Okay, so let's just go into so Gary's gonna come on possibly come on in a future podcast, and we'll talk about some family tragedies and some interesting things that kind of went on there. And but let's just touch base with, you're a coronavirus survivor as well.
Oh my God, it was February 1st. What happened is my grandson lives with us, and he's 12 years old, and he goes to Helen's Elementary School in North Delta. And being in the Fraser Health, everybody knows that we're the hardest hit with the hot spot in all the Lower Mainland. So he comes home sick one day, and he's sick. He's like in bed sick. And 3 days later, I start feeling sick. He brought the coronavirus from school, which he caught at Helen's, brought it home. And now myself and my wife, we're infected. We go get tested and we're positive. And the flu, like first symptoms of the flu, and it wasn't that bad of a flu, but it was a flu. It was enough to make me get hot and chills and stay in bed.
Yeah.
And so I had the flu for 3 days. And then after the flu went away, I had fatigue, extreme fatigue. It was like I booked off work. I didn't go to work. I wasn't working, of course. I booked off work, and I was at home. And I had this extreme fatigue where I just didn't want to get out of bed and get out of the couch, and that was
Scary.
Scary. It was very scary.
Because you're not lazy, man.
I wasn't lazy. I wasn't working. I wasn't drinking. I didn't want to go out for a walk. I didn't want to go for a run. I didn't want to do nothing. It was just like this extreme fatigueness, which was my biggest complaint about the having that virus.
Yeah.
And then after that, I lost my sense of taste and smell. And that was weird because my wife was in the kitchen cooking bacon, and I couldn't smell it.
Wow.
And then not only that, I couldn't taste it. It was like I was chewing and I just
Nothing
couldn't
there.
taste the food. And subsequently, I wasn't getting hungry. I just didn't want to eat food. I just ate it because I knew I had to.
Yeah.
But that only lasted 2 days for me. I was lucky, and then my sense of smell came back, and then my sense of taste came back. So the virus, it
affects everybody differently.
It affects everybody differently, and I'm one of the lucky ones. But with the new vaccines that are coming out, I'm leery about that, because the last time I got a flu shot, I had the worst flu that I ever had in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I talked to my family doctor about that. I said, look, I'm concerned about this vaccine. I said, I don't know if I'm going to have an adverse reaction to it. I said, last time I got a flu shot, I got the flu, the worst I've ever had in my entire life. And I said, what about this vaccine? He goes, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Basically, I don't want to get it. I don't want to get COVID, but I'm not going to get the vaccine either. I just, what about you, Rob?
I actually, because you brought it up, I'm registering online to get my fucking vaccination.
That's good. I mean, but the
smart
thing
thing
is,
to do.
down the road, they may or may not, if you want to travel international, have proof of vaccination.
That's what I'm hearing.
Right. So my wife wants to go to Jamaica in December. So if I have to get my vaccine before then, well, I'll do it. But the only thing is, if I have to do that, I'm going to get my will done first.
Yeah.
And update my will. You know?
Absolutely. It's kind of weird because, like, I know I shouldn't say this because I don't want to, like, deter people from going to get their vaccine. But, like, I don't know, man. It just seems like I'm skeptical because it seems like they pump something out so fast, so quick. And, like I got questions, right? So, and I know, but Robbie over here, he's got the strongest immune system known to man.
Don't mean to brag or anything,
So he's like, sign me up for all four. He'll take all 4 jabs.
I will. I'll take them all. Just stack them.
Stack
see
'em.
If I live, I live.
Like how they stack steroids back in the day, DECA and tests and all these different. Stack them all.
And then after I get it, I'll wait 24 hours, and I'll go around and lick every fucking handrail. I will. I'll go on the bus and just start licking buses and shit, and sky trains.
I understand what you're saying about coming up with a vaccination in so short a time, but in this day and age and with the technology we have, well, it's could be a probable thing, but that also opens up the door to, okay, where did this virus really originate from? I mean, is it man-made? Did scientists produce a virus to decrease the surplus of the population? Who knows, right?
But, you know, I would agree with you more if millions were dying. But realistically, there's not a lot of people are dying.
No.
3 million people are dead already, Marco.
From Corona.
Yeah.
From Corona.
No.
3 million.
No. I want to hear it.
If not
Look that
more.
up right now.
No, I'm registering. I can't look it up. Look at this. I have to scroll through this whole thing. I have to go back to 1974. I've hit this button like 100 times already. No, 3 million people have died.
Uh-uh.
Yeah,
No, I don't believe it.
probably a lot more than that.
You better not be like feeding me shit. You were like 3 million trying to make me
No,
look smart
man.
across the table.
It's true.
I don't think 3 million people have died from
I
coronavirus.
haven't heard the latest, but I know it's up there.
Was it a
it
million?
has
It
to
is.
be. That's
It is.
worldwide.
Yeah,
It has to be
easily.
out there.
Russia at some point stopped reporting.
Oh, yeah.
So there's
Okay,
a lot-
okay, yeah.
There's a lot of countries that aren't
Yeah.
even reporting.
But there were, you know what? I'm curious to see what the numbers are. I know there was a lot of people that would die. Like if you got hit by a bus, they would chalk you down as coronavirus.
They were doing some shady shit.
They
like
were
that,
doing
yeah.
some shady stuff, right? Because the hospitals were getting like 20 grand per coronavirus victim and stuff. So they were doing some weird stuff too. Oh, well, you know, they had coronavirus in their system, so we're going to put a coronavirus. Well, the guy got backed over by like 16 buses.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Like
Right,
it
like-
is shady. Like
Yeah.
some of their numbers, how they were coming up with those numbers, but there's no doubt it's here. And thanks for reminding me because I really do want to get the jab here.
There you go.
That's
The
good.
one thing I do want to say about the vaccine is,
Yeah.
okay, we're dependent upon other countries for shipping it. Why can't Canada produce their own vaccine?
They can, but they just can't produce enough. That's the problem, right? So, because it's so fast and like
But why? Yeah. Like it's true. But you know, like
they
why?
just can't produce enough. And like
Why not keep the
right
jobs
now?
here?
We're already hearing that there's going to be another delay. There's another delay on these vaccinations. Like, and that's why 100%. I'm not gonna get the vaccine until every first responder and everybody in the trenches gets them. Because I think I'd be selfish
Yeah.
to get that vaccine. I'd be selfish to get that vaccine until every first responder or people that are in the trenches get the vaccine. So I'm gonna respectfully decline to get mine until everybody else is vaccinated, and that's my stance. And so if anyone has a,
Why are you twitching, man?
I'm not twitching. What are you talking about?
Right? I wanted to wait till people started losing their eyesight and limbs and whatever, but I was like, fuck, man, I'm just gonna go for it, man. Yeah.
Well, the only thing about the virus right now is that there's variants of concern which are happening, and it's
absolutely. Those are
targeting
true.
the young people.
Yeah.
Young people, there's
Yeah.
more young people that are ended up in the ICU, in
Absolutely.
the hospital, and then they don't know if they can vaccinate
Yeah.
people fast enough to combat
Absolutely. I got a buddy that's a firefighter, and he's like, you know, they're like some of the families are getting admitted. It's no longer just the old people. It's the kids, the people that were babysitting. It's like 7-8 people in that home are going in, and they're on ventilators. So yeah, it's changing. It's not just, you know, guys in their 60s and 70s. It's definitely changing, and young people are getting sick. So I definitely do not want any of it. So Terryberry, just keep your circle small, because I don't want to hang out with you anymore. If you're gonna,
That's why I'm getting the coronavirus, man. Or not the coronavirus, the jab. Getting the jab.
yeah, that
Yeah,
is
man,
true.
I
Though.
can't, like, honestly, I can't wait. Oh, it's going to be next week.
Have
and
you
I
heard
it
about the
wipes you
long
out.
haulers though? Have you heard about the long haulers?
Yes, and they're
Where-
doing researchers on it.
Yeah,
And
some of those
you
guys,
know,
7-8 months. Like I was listening to one lady talk, and she owned a law firm. You know, it's like when you own a law firm, you're a money maker. You're trying to, you know, generate cash. You're not lazy. You're doing whatever you can to make, you know, thick cash. She was like, I couldn't get out of bed for 7 months. She's like,
Wow.
I was exhausted. I could barely brush my teeth. I could barely get out of bed. I'm just exhausted. And this is a millionaire. This isn't someone like trying to, you know, fraud the system. This is somebody that owned her own law firm. So she can just, you know, delegate, and she can send emails. but she's like, I am exhausted and it just destroyed me. So that would suck.
It affects everybody differently.
For sure.
Worst case scenario, it kills you. And then at best, you have mild symptoms and walk away from it.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine we play poker with, Bill Bonner. You know, every time I'm on Facebook and I see the daughters and stuff, and like people talking about coronavirus, how they say it's fake and it's bullshit, this and that, I feel terrible because, you know, he died. You know, my brothers played poker with him. Like the guy, you know, he died, right? It's sad.
You see on the news all these anti-mask protesters and the problem, like, they're idiots, and I call them idiots because that's what they are. They're idiots. Yeah. And one of the biggest arguments that they use is the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is a supreme law in Canada. Yeah. But the thing is, that was written pre-COVID. And then people across the border, stateside, they're using the same argument with the Constitution of the United States. Well, that was written back in the 1700s.
Exactly.
Right? And then the Charter, when did that come out? In the 80s? Yeah. It needs to be amended.
For sure.
It needs to be amended so that people have to start listening to the public health orders and not utilize the Charter of Freedom of Rights as an argument.
Yeah, for sure.
To infringe on the so-called rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like there's no...
It needs to be amended.
Well, for sure. There's no disputing it because no one thought there was going to be, you know, pandemic. Like, honestly, I thought the worst thing that was going to happen... I knew something was coming. Like, I would talk to Rob. I was like, you know, whether it be like the earthquake's going to hit or I even was like far-fetched. I was like, Rob's like, don't start with your meteorite.
Here we go.
I honestly thought a meteorite was going to hit this place because if you look at it like out here in the West and stuff, right? Like we haven't had anything bad happen in 100 years. Like sooner or later,
since the last pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So sooner or later, something bad is going to happen. I thought it would be that, and then who knew it would be a pandemic, right? Like a global-wide pandemic would shut this place down. But I knew something was coming. Even Rob would, you know, agree with that. I've told you that.
Yeah.
You know, I told you many times a meteorite's going to hit us. But
the thing with the pandemic now, we've been in it for 14 months now, and history is going to go post-pandemic and post-pandemic. You know, that's the way it's going to look. It affected everybody.
Oh, for sure.
It affected the entire world. It's a global pandemic.
And now with computers and algorithms, like, you know, the stats aren't going to lie. You know, you got everything. Like, they're going to be able to analyze everything and say, okay, this was this. You know, like businesses were here, and now that pre-pandemic and then after the pandemic, businesses are down 70%. So many guys closed and lost their shirts. Like bankruptcies are out through the roof. Like you can't get away from the numbers. Like
no, it sucks. You know, like people even opening businesses a month before the shutdown.
Yeah,
right?
they got no compensation. Like that ain't fair.
It crept up on everybody real fucking fast, right?
Yeah,
like it just did. All of a sudden, bam!
It came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's a shutdown. Holy shit!
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Who could have predicted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some people did, but not me. I was meteorite. Might have been better. Put us out of our misery. Just joking. Yeah. But it's pretty weird when you think about it, though. Like, so many. I don't know how we're going to, like, I don't know how they're going to recover. Like, so many businesses are going to fold. Like,
it makes you, like, it honestly makes me wonder why anybody would want to even open a restaurant after this.
Yeah.
Like, they got a little bit of help here and there, but I mean, like,
not enough to survive.
It had to come. Help had to come from everywhere. It has to come from your landlords.
Lower rents.
You know, lower rents. It has to come from everywhere. It just can't be the government bailing out. I mean, it has to come from everywhere.
Everyone should have got on board to go, okay, you know what? We got 50%. So you can't let, you know, you got 50% of what, of the amount of people you can let in there. Okay. Well, 50% of the rent. You know, like, okay, we're charged some of these properties, especially Vancouver. I talk like whenever I go into a pizza shop or something, I just curious, you know, I'm curious. So I ask them, how much you pay in rent? Some of these guys are paying like 20, 30 G's a month rent.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So all of a sudden, if it's you can't let 50% of the population in, and you're at half capacity, it should be 50% rent.
Yeah, it should be.
You know, or they should be able to, like, you know, get that number down, because there's no way you can pay that. That's crazy.
I think restaurants are going to be here to stay because nobody likes eating their own food all the time, right? And
Yeah.
even if it means sitting out in a patio,
Yeah.
you know, so be it. But yeah, they're definitely taking a huge cut.
Oh, huge.
A huge cut. And I think this pandemic is going to change the way things are done with a lot of people. I think masks are going to be here to stay.
Yep.
People are going to be wearing masks in public transit. Who wants to be breathing other people's air?
Yeah.
You know, which is why airplanes are the worst scenario to be in.
Yeah.
Is you're sitting there in an enclosed environment breathing in everybody's
It's all
Air.
recycled.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
man. Have you ever farted on an airplane?
not that I'd admit to.
Oh, I let a couple rip on an airplane.
You have to get on an airplane
It's
first, Marco.
disgusting. When I was in Chicago, man, trust me, I was farting like a motherfucker, man. I did not want to be on that airplane. Just did the Jerry Springer show. I was letting them rip. Disgusting, man.
Oh, I hate to cut this short, but I gotta get going,
Yeah, we're gonna cut it short, okay?
That being said about airplanes, the only thing I wanted to do, which I never did on a plane, was join a Mile High Air Club.
Oh boy.
That didn't happen, but maybe one day.
I can get arrested for that shit now.
That's awesome. Yeah, honestly, okay, man, it was great to have you out, and I would like to say thanks, T-Bone, for coming on out.
Yeah,
you know,
no
driving
problem,
all
no
the way from Abbotsford. And Gary, man, I was really actually excited.